This is Our Rough Draft, a podcast, real talk for real relationships.
Welcome to Our Rough Draft, where we share real stories from marriage, work, life, and the adventures along the way. We'll laugh, maybe get real, and hopefully help you spark some new conversations in your own life.
I'm Denise, the wild, emotional one who loves words and big ideas.
And I'm Tim. I'm the practical level one who fixes what she dreams of.
And this is Our Rough Draft, where we share the stories we're still living. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Our Rough Draft.
Welcome to Our Rough Draft.
I love it. So today we're going to talk about how we became 5.
That's a lot of stories.
Yeah, it is.
5, as a matter of fact.
Yes. The 5 matter a lot to us, to the point that we have matching tattoos that say 5.
Yep.
Most of us.
Most of us, right? Obviously, the ones who are of age and have made the decision. It's not like we took our kids down to the tattoo parlor and said, you have to have this. But yeah.
Yeah, we don't brand our children.
No.
They choose to be a part of the 5.
Right, yeah.
Awesome. So today we're going to do a deep dive into how we got here and try to be a little vulnerable in our sharing of stories so that I think it's really important that we love being 5, but also that it isn't always easy.
Yeah. Just like anything else.
Right. So welcome in.
Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so I I got some questions ready, and I think they're kind of funny because I know the answers, but I think asking them is kind of fun to find out. And it'll be interesting to find out if we say anything that surprises the other one when it comes to it. So I'm going to jump right in to, had we ever thought about having kids?
Yeah.
Do we talk about it?
I feel like, yes, we did. I don't think I can point back to a specific conversation or like a specific time, but I'm pretty sure I felt like I knew you wanted kids, and I knew that I wanted kids and felt like you knew that I wanted kids. Like, I think it
wasn't a hard conversation to have.
No,
No,
not for us, I don't think.
Yeah. So then we jumped right in.
We did. Yes. Is this the vulnerable part?
Maybe. Vulnerable and awkward. So we knew that we wanted kids. And, well, I'm just going to tell the story.
Go for it.
Okay. So we dated for a long time. And then we got engaged in New York City, September, and planned the wedding, an April wedding. And it was awesome. Like, it was this whirlwind. We were in New York City. We were both working out of town. We registered for gifts in Chicago, ironically, at the Crate and Barrel that became the Starbucks Roastery.
Yeah.
Which is like that whole space is the same.
Yeah.
So we were just all over the place. And I remember like there were moments that I like can't erase because they were so magical. Like when you proposed and then we moved from one hotel to the next, and on the way in that cab ride, I'm on the phone with my mom telling her we get in an accident. And that's part of the story. We were fine. It was just weird.
More like a fender bender.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Like I'd never
accident.
been in a fender bender before with a cab. Right. It was just weird. The other thing, like I remember being at Eddie Bauer and using the software that you had on your computer to make the map, like a pretty artistic rendering of the map of how to get from our church to the reception at the Monaco in downtown, and were we going to take him through the Central District or have him go out on Madison or whatever. And I just, those moments I totally remember.
Yeah.
And I remember everybody was coming into town for the wedding. We were going to have Thursday night spaghetti. My mom was bringing the sauce up, flying with the sauce from San Diego. She always flies with the sauce or travels with the sauce.
Right. She always has a bag with her.
Yeah. Planning the Friday night rehearsal dinner at Rock Bottom in Seattle. And then the wedding on Saturday, complete with massage and hair and all the things Saturday morning to finally meet up and get married on Saturday, late afternoon.
Yeah. We should pause, though.
Yeah.
You're naming all these places that are making me have fond memories of downtown Seattle. And I think that for anybody who knows the current version of downtown
Mm.
Seattle, it's hard to imagine why anybody would spend so much time down there. Because I
That
would
was our
tell you,
life.
if I had to do it right now, I would be out in wine country
Yeah.
in Woodinville, close to where we moved from. But at that time, downtown Seattle had everything.
Yeah.
It was the best place to be. There was no other place. All the great restaurants, all the
Yeah.
great hangouts, all the great hotels, like everything was downtown Seattle. So it was just a very different time.
Yeah.
So
We were living in Lushai in this
Yeah.
cute little spot in Lushai on Lake Washington. And we would go up and over the hill to downtown nightly. Like,
felt like, yeah.
we were always in downtown. And yeah, so it was a part of our story.
Yeah.
And Seattle looked and was a lot different 25 years ago.
Yes.
We worked on the east side. I was working for T-Mobile. You were still with Bauer.
Mhm.
And it was the Monday before the wedding. And I was feeling strange. So I decided, I wonder what that is. And so I went and I got a pregnancy test. And lo and behold, I was pregnant the Monday before the wedding.
What
I
to
know.
say?
I know. I roped you into this 25 years
Oh
later.
my
You could get out if you want.
gosh. I was sold a bill of goods.
I know. And I told exactly no one,
Yeah, not even me.
not even you. And I went through the whole thing, Thursday night spaghetti dinner. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. I mean, we were planning to have kids, but we were not planning to have kids immediately
Mm-mm.
upon getting married. We had a trip planned to Nepal that next fall
Yep.
that we had to cancel. And good thing that we did, because there was a coup and an uprising when we would have been there and we would have been stuck. So
Yeah.
thanks, Thatch, for saving us from that. But yeah, so it was the Monday before the wedding. I remember God and I, we had a little conversation at the altar at the church, just praying that it was all going to be okay. Friday night, I stayed at the Monaco with Mitzi, and I didn't tell her, my maid of honor. And then Saturday, you were getting ready, I was getting ready. We finally separate. We met up. I had a great salad from Vaughn's. Do you remember Vaughn's downtown? That was such a great restaurant across from City Center.
Pacific Place.
Pacific Place. One of the best salads in Seattle. But I was starving and I had to eat on a regular basis because I was having a baby and my body was like, you have to eat on a regular basis. So beautiful wedding. Like, we've talked about it before, but that is my favorite day ever. Like, I would redo it over and over again because it was such a perfect day.
Yeah, completely. I completely agree. I was just blissfully ignorant of the entire thing.
I told the DJ, he asked, like, can I keep you guys in drinks all night for the wedding? And I said, yes, cranberry juice in a Cosmo glass. And he was like, oh, so smart, bride. Like, making sure you stay coherent. No. So then Sunday, we were at the house in Lushai and opened gifts, and my family was there. And then we flew out. They flew out on Sunday. We flew out on Monday to go to Cabo for our honeymoon. And that's when you found out you were becoming a dad.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell that side of the story?
Oh my God. So we got to the hotel, the resort. We were in our room. I think we had unpacked. We had maybe had dinner or something. I don't know. But it was nighttime, and we were sitting out on the balcony, and I had brought a cigar or some fancy cigar that I felt was, the right time. So I'm sitting out on the patio. You're there. I light up a cigar, and I was just going to enjoy the sound of the water, the ocean.
We had margaritas.
And then you teared up.
Yeah.
And I, in my, again, ignorance, or I don't know what.
Not ignorance, just unawareness and unknowingness.
Or maybe my own cockiness, I don't know, like thought, oh my gosh, she's overtaken with the emotion of this moment. And it's such a great moment. We're newly married. We're here in Cabo. We're going to have a great honeymoon. She's just super emotional about that. And that's when you then broke the news that, no, actually you were tearing up because you were pregnant.
I was pregnant with our first Thatcher Boone Waters. His due date was December 6th.
2001.
2001. And he did not come on December 6th. he did not arrive on December 6th. We went to the hospital over and over and over again to try and get him to come.
Well, and tried all of the home remedies too. Went for long walks. You ate spicy food. We tried everything that we could think of to kind of kick off the party. And
dislodge him from his little slumber. And he would not play along. And so we finally, our doctor she proved to be pretty magnificent for many years. But the first taste of it was when Thatcher would not come out. And she was like, dude, Squatter's right. Stay at the hospital. Do not let them send you home again. And I was like, okay, who knew? So we stayed at the hospital, and because we had gone in 3 times. And by now it's December 14th and no baby, no action, nothing, 0. Huge storm in Seattle. My mom was in town staying at the place in Leshai. We were up on at Swedish on First Hill, and nothing, literally, in the most boring birth story ever, nothing was happening.
No.
And the anesthesiologist kept coming by and was like, do you want an epidural? And I was like, no, I'm good. And then I was like, well, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, did the girl next door get an epidural? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I guess I'll take one now. Nothing, still nothing, nothing. It was it was a Friday night. It was the night of the Christmas party for the practice, for the group that was delivering our baby in medical practice. And every single doctor came by to check on us because they were going to their party. They had their wine. They came back. They're like, still here. Okay. So finally, early morning on the 15th, Thatcher's little heart rate. We did not know that we were having a boy. We did not know who we were having, but the heart rate started to go away. And I remember them coming in and saying, his heart rate's not looking so good, or the baby's heart rate is not looking so good. And you've been at this a while and nothing's really progressing. So you can decide to have a C-section, or it's going to be an emergency C-section. We're going to leave the room and let you two decide.
Because so the piece that you had missed from that story was they induced.
Oh, that's
so that was part.
Oh, that was the epidural piece. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had the epidural, but they had induced. They'd given you what?
Pitocin.
And that was what. So labor started, and it just didn't then progress. You got to a point, and then just nothing. It didn't move any further, and then that, I think, is what started putting stress on his heart.
Right.
And so that's
right. I'd forgotten that part.
Yeah.
Because you do forget those parts. So we looked at each other and decided that neither of us had gone to medical school. So we were not equipped to make the decision if it was a C-section or not.
Well, and it was a C-section now or an emergency C-section later.
In 20 minutes.
Sounds like we should probably do the C-section now. That doesn't feel like a choice.
So we called my mom, and she got in the car at 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning or whatever it was, and drove up to Swedish so she could be there, and couldn't find parking, or did find parking, but then the doors to the hospital were all locked, so she had a hard time getting in.
Yeah. And
I just remember they were wheeling me off to the C-section as she got there. So I crossed paths with her, and we went in for the C-section.
Mm-hmm.
And out he came finally.
Finally had a Thatcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not do good with anesthesia. So I was also throwing up.
That's much more specific, but you don't do well with hospitals,
Fair.
period. So, I mean, you can pick your anesthesia, the beds, the food, the people, the
cutting,
smells,
all the things, blood, liquids, whatever. I just don't like all of it.
Yeah.
Ironically, I still watch Grey's, but that's just weird. So so that's how we got our first one. And it was really hard recovery because, 24 plus hours of labor, emergency, basically C-section, was really hard recovery. But it laid the groundwork for what would come next. But little beautiful piece is that we took Thatchy home to Leshai. And I remember sitting there in the chair that they would later take to their college apartments. That's how long we had that chair.
Yeah.
Weird. Sit there and look out at the lake and how peaceful it was. And we could see I-90. I was just always so surprised that people were moving so quickly out into the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is the world still moving?
Yeah, it was weird. Everything just slowed down.
Yeah.
It was incredible how, to your point, the pace of our lives was centered around just the three of us at that point.
Yeah.
Nothing else, because you obviously weren't working. I think I was on leave, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
At least for a little while.
Yeah.
And it just felt like everything slowed down. I mean, we just did things differently. It wasn't get up in the morning, rush to get ready for work, get out the door,
Yeah.
work until all hours, come home, go out to eat. Like it just
Right.
almost immediately changed.
Yeah. My brothers came to visit because we had them on December 15th. And so Christmas was coming, and the brothers came up and they stayed in Bellevue. But I remember I'm like, yeah, we'll come get you and we'll hang out, we'll do stuff. But we literally couldn't leave the house before 11 because we just were moving so slowly.
Yeah.
But you were such a great partner, even in those early days, because I would feed him and then hand him off to you, and I would fall asleep. And I don't know what happened after I fell asleep, but then I'd get him back to feed him again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was the cycle. It was just because I couldn't feed him at that point. So it was, I mean, it was just how we partnered on it.
And you really hadn't been around kids before Thatchy.
No, I was learning everything.
Yeah.
Kind of on the fly.
What was that like?
I think it was scary, naturally. I think it was, I was nervous that I was going to break him. I was nervous I was going to do the wrong thing. I was nervous that he was going to cry and I wouldn't know how to solve for it. I mean, all very much first time parent, I think, things that you feel, but there's, I don't want to say there's no reason to feel that way, but you're not going to break them. I mean, obviously, very fragile, but I mean, just doing the things that you're doing, just caring for them, you're probably not going to break them. They're going to cry for whatever reason, for any reason, for no reason, for, just randomly. And sometimes you're going to be able to soothe them and calm them down. Sometimes you're not. And and you just have to be okay with that. And so, there's a lot of nerves around the things I didn't know. So,
yeah. And we stayed in Leshai just for 6 weeks. 8 weeks, because the house was ready. We were building a house in Duval. And so the house was ready.
Yep.
And we were moving out to Duval. We were still at that point in our lives, though, where we were poor and we had our friends help us move. And that was
so bad.
One of the worst days ever.
It was horrible.
I have my grandmother's china cabinet. And
it weighs about 6 million pounds.
Yeah. I don't know how we got it into Leshai, thinking back.
I have no idea.
Right, because I moved from Redmond to Leshai, and I was in the back unit where the door was really easy to get in and out of. No problem. I know I had it in there. But then I moved to that front unit, and it was like a jig and a jag in a hallway.
Yeah.
And somehow we got it in, and we didn't use movers then.
But somehow couldn't get it out.
Right. So my friends decided to lower it over the balcony to get it out. Yeah. And this was an antique house too. The balcony wasn't stable. The windows weren't stable. Everything was just old, and it was an old Weyerhaeuser mansion that had been converted into apartments, and it was awesome, but it was not built that way. So I left. I was like, you guys figure it out. I'm going to the new house. I took the baby and the cat. Both were crying all the way to Duval, a 45-minute drive. I was crying. It was horrible. But we had friends there helping us. I think it was so funny because the number of people from the different parts of our lives who showed up to help was pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. Mark and Kelly got in one of the biggest fights they've ever been in that day. So sorry about that, guys. But Mark was helping, and he was supposed to be back, and he realized that nobody was going to actually go to Duval to help us unload, and he felt obligated. So he drove out, helped, got everybody settled, and then he was coming back, and Mark has no sense of direction, like me, and he ran out of gas, and Kelly was not having it. was a bad day all around.
Yeah, I don't think anybody had a good day that day.
No. But we got settled in Duval with Thatchy. And gosh, one of the memories I have is Sam, the cat who came with you, sitting on top of the stairs, meowing at us because we were at the point as Thatcher was getting a little older of letting him try and work it out and cry himself to sleep a little bit. And Sam was pissed that we weren't picking up the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. He was definitely like Nana from Peter Pan, where, I think he felt a certain connection with Thatcher and was upset that we were just, torturing him in his mind. And yeah, he would just sit there and let us have it.
Yeah.
From the top of the stairs.
So that was Thatcher. And he was a fairly easy baby. He had little reflux issues. So we always had towels at hand to work on that. But other than that, he was pretty easy.
Every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Spitting up on something.
So then we decided, Hold
on. There's a question that I'm not sure I've ever asked you. And I think now might be the appropriate time given the vulnerability of the situation. I don't know that we've ever talked about it, but why did you hide it from me? Why was that a thing that needed to be kept secret, do you think?
I have no idea. That's a great question. Because it was all happening. Like, there was no time. Everybody was coming. It was Monday. We were having the first thing on Wednesday. Like, people were coming into town. There was no time for us to, sit and talk it through. There was no question in my mind that we weren't going to have him. Baby at the time. We didn't know if it was a him or her. But it was just, the timing to have that conversation. I didn't know how it would fit into the whole thing. Yeah, that's really interesting. But I knew we were going to have time together in Cabo. Here's the best part about our honeymoon.
And you weren't at all worried that I was just going to get back on the plane and fly home?
Nope.
Wow.
No, never had that worry. You guys, I brought the What to Expect When You're Expecting book on our honeymoon and then thought he was going to look at it with me.
No.
I just get, Cabo, you get 2 for 1 margaritas. And the whole time I was like, and here you go. And here you go. I just kept him a little bit liquored the whole week so that by the time we got back, he'd be like, okay, it's all good. Was there any doubt? Was there any thought about getting back on the plane?
No.
Yeah. We were just in a place that I knew it was coming eventually.
And I think, we've joked about this before, but I think about that information being kept from the other person days before the wedding.
Yeah.
And how poorly that could have turned out if it was anybody but you and I.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's pretty critical information to tell somebody. Hey, look, we need to go into this wedding eyes wide open on all fronts. And here's...
I think part of it, we had been together a long time. We were building a house together. We were getting married. I had gone off birth control. It all pointed to this was the next step. The timing just was fast. We were 30, 29 when we got married.
Yeah. And I think the timing was fast because you believed, I remember this conversation, you believed you'd been on, not to spill a secret, but you'd been on birth control for a long time. And so the theory was...
It might take a minute.
It might take a minute for us to have kids. So if we waited... too long for you to go off birth control and then for us to try to have kids, we might be forever down the road.
Right. Because I was 30 and 30 was old at that point.
Yeah.
25 years ago to be having your first baby. Yeah. So I was worried about that. It didn't take us long.
No, it was 30 seconds.
Yeah. So then we decided to have the second.
Then we had the second.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we've talked about deployment and how all that played into it. So let's jump ahead to having Cooper and Susan Harvey being the best doctor in the whole wide world. So she had delivered Thatch. And then it was round 2 and Tim was leaving for Iraq. And she was like, screw it. We're having a baby before you leave.
I think there's some timing that we have to close the gap on. So
that's why you're here to help me out.
I'm the detail person.
Tell the better story. Yeah.
No, not tell the better story. Just fill in some of the details. So, because when we say I was leaving for Iraq and we had Cooper or we were having Cooper, that sounds like a kind of a callous, not callous. That's probably the wrong word, but it sounds like you could hear people questioning. So why did you have a kid if you're going to leave for Iraq? we didn't know because we got the alert for the first deployment in February of 03 because we were supposed to go in with the initial invasion
Yes.
that happened in March or April. I can't remember.
March.
So had that initial set of orders, we're supposed to go right away with the initial wave. Those orders got yanked back and we didn't know if any other orders were coming.
No, but
we thought probably they would, but we had no guarantee that I was going to get deployed. So
yeah,
continue on with life, have a second kid.
But we also, when we got that first round of finding out you were getting deployed, it was very much, we need to have a second because I didn't know how long you were going to be gone. And we wanted kids close together. And again, my age. But what's interesting about that, so to talk about timing, Cooper's due date was also December 6th. He was not born on December 6th.
No.
Because you were supposed to leave for the deployment on November 15th.
Mm-hmm.
So on November 14th, we had an amnio to find out if his lungs were ready to then go in for a non-emergency C-section because I had had the C-section with that. We were doing things the night before to get ready, washing all the stuff that goes in the car seats and all of that. And my amazing 2-year-old child had left a crayon in his car seat. And so we washed and dried everything, and it all came out with orange crayon all over it. I was not happy.
Orange crayon melted in the dryer.
Yeah, I was not calm. I was nothing. I was none of those things. Ironically, orange is Cooper's favorite color. Again, we didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
We were just having another baby. But even at that point, we knew that we wanted them to be close. That was really important to us at that point. That was kind of it. Like we wanted them to be friends.
Yeah.
So we had another C-section with Cooper, much easier recovery because I hadn't had the 73 days of labor.
Yep.
Thatcher got to meet him and hold him right away. But because you were leaving, we were all super hyper aware of what was happening. Yeah. And so we had, whereas with Thatcher, we had time. So we had his baptism when he was a few months old, and my brother came out for that. And we were able to do it at the church we got married in. But with Coop, you were leaving within 2 weeks. And so we talked about Mark and Kelly a lot, but Kelly comes up again here because her dad was an Episcopal priest and he was retired, but he had privileges everywhere. And so he was able to baptize Coop. Did we do it at Mercer Island? Where did we do it? Did we go down?
Yeah.
So we were able to get Coop baptized before you left, which was important to us, and be able to do that. And then...
Well, and conversely with Cooper, so with Thatcher, time slowed down for that first period, but with Cooper, time sped up because we had that deadline that was looming. So it felt like all of that stuff that we enjoyed as a family of 3, we didn't get to enjoy as much as a family of 4 because we were worried about that date. That date was always in the conversation. It was always in the back of our minds that you only have 2 weeks, then you got to leave. And those 2 weeks just went super fast.
Yeah.
Like just a blur.
And I think about that being 2. So Cooper was born on November 14th, which is coming up tomorrow. Happy birthday, Coop. Also why we're doing this episode right now, because it was on my mind. And Thatcher was born on December 15th, with their due date being the same on December 6th. Yeah, do the math. It's St. Patrick's Day, people. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to talk about Tim. I like St. Patrick's Day. It's a problem. Anywho, sorry. And it wasn't a problem that you were gone when Coop was a baby because we had Thatch. And it was important for us, for them to be buddies. And this little 2-year-old stepped right up. We never did the typical, like, you're the man of the house now that dad's gone. But people would say that to him. But he internalized that on his own from the very beginning. Like, how can I help with mom? How can I help with the baby? How can I do all of the things? I remember we had 3 bedrooms and we had the one set up as the guest room with the computer in it with the webcam so that we could try and talk with you when you were available. And then they shared a room and then our room right up top. And I would remember like Coop would wake up and Thatch would be in there, like trying to get him out of his crib and stuff. And Cooper was always happier to see Thatcher than anybody else. And there were moments where I was like, damn, like, hello. And then you realize in that very moment of like, no, this was the point.
Yeah.
This is what we were trying to do.
That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Seeing Thatcher standing on the crib, like standing on the rail of
totally
the crib,
see
like
that right
hanging
now.
over and trying to get Cooper out of there, and Cooper's smile when he was looking up at Thatcher. Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. So they were just best buds from the beginning, and it was pretty amazing. And we just had these two little fun kids that we played with and did everything with. And it was harder for you coming back with both of them being toddlers. I remember those family pictures we did when you were back on leave and Cooper not knowing who you were. That was hard.
Yeah, I hated those pictures.
Yeah.
That was tough. Because it was, I mean, I left and he was 2 weeks old, and I came back and he was a toddler essentially.
Yeah.
I came back for leave and he was a toddler, but he didn't know me.
Yeah.
He had no idea who I was. And so those pictures are very interesting, and maybe nobody else can notice. And we only pull select pictures out of the album to display or to have. But when you look at them, I can see it. I can see he doesn't know me. I can see that he's just treating me like a stranger.
Yeah.
And it just sucks.
Yeah. And he and Thatch are really close in those pictures.
Yeah.
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 Which is great. I mean, I'm glad we had that for them.
Yeah.
So then fast forward, you come home, you reacquaint with the family, we do all the things. We moved to Wenatchee, and then I'm so vulnerable. I'm sharing way too much right now, but that's okay. It's okay. These are our stories.
You can edit out what you don't want.
I tell these stories in person to people. Like just yesterday, we were talking about our kids' birth stories and how we should celebrate us on their birthdays rather than always them. But I like my kids a lot, so I want to celebrate them too. But you then found out you were deploying again, and you had to leave, and you were going, and you left, and it was sad. It was horribly, tragically sad. And before you left, I was able to visit you in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was 5 years after Cooper was born that I left.
Yeah.
Because he was 2003 and I left in 2008. And I think that in that interim time, because although we had talked about wanting kids, and we had 2 kids and they were close together and we felt like that was great, I think there was always there's always a feeling that we wanted a third.
Right.
But
And
we weren't sure, like, should we not?
Well, and there was the actual fear of the exposure that you had in Iraq and what that would do if we were trying to have another baby, because you were in situations that were maybe not good for your inner workings. And what would that produce? There were not weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but there were things that could have eventually been, and you were in those kind of locations. And so I think we wanted a clean bill of health for you before we decided to have any more kids. And so that, for me, that meant time. Yeah. But then you actually left and I was like, but I'm going to be 40. Not in a minute, but it was looming, and having one more kid was something I wanted. So I remember the conversation. I'm like, I think I want another baby. And you're like, okay. And we got another baby, just like magic, like storks.
We've been very lucky in that regard, and I don't think that it's been lost on us how lucky we've been, especially when we hear about other people that aren't quite as lucky and don't have it as easy. And so I think that for us, and I was panicked about that, I think in the beginning, because you hear stories and people have different experiences with it, and sometimes it's very difficult to get pregnant and
to stay pregnant and to have healthy babies.
I mean,
for sure.
The whole thing, I was just I was a nervous wreck the entire time you were pregnant, all 3 times. And so for us, we've been just
super blessed.
Incredibly blessed in that regard.
Yeah. But here's the funny part. So I go to Wisconsin. I get pregnant. I come home. Tim leaves and goes to Iraq. I'm home with babies. So Cooper's 5, Thatch is 7. You left in August and I went and saw you in October. And it's December. And I'm like, okay, I'm starting to show. I need to tell the boys that we're having another baby. I need to say the due date is in June, all of the things. And that frickin' 7-year-old Thatcher goes, hold on. Are you sure Dad's the dad? Yeah, pretty sure. So he's like, well, that math doesn't math. And I was like, bless me. So then I had to explain to him that I had snuck away for a weekend special to go see my husband in Wisconsin. And I didn't take him to see his dad. And that was the thing. Like they didn't care, whatever. I could do whatever I wanted. But the fact that I snuck away and saw you without them was pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. But we were getting another baby. And I was pregnant while you were gone. And I was older at that point. And with Thatcher, they did this test to find out about birth defects and Down syndrome and all of those types of things. And they were testing the test. And we were a part of the pilot study for that test. But by the time we were pregnant with our third, that test was now standard. And so they did the test on baby number 3, and all the markers pointed to Down syndrome. And so they wanted us to do further testing so we would be prepared when he or she came to us. And so you were home on leave. And so on that leave, we had the ultrasound to find out if he was a boy or girl.
Yeah. And the reason being was
You weren't going to be there.
I was going back to Iraq, and I mean, God forbid anything happened and I didn't know what my third child was. I mean, that would just be.
So we wanted to do that, and we took the boys to that one. And everybody in the room was a little bit disappointed that it was a boy, except for me. I was so excited I was getting a third boy, but I think everybody digs girls and thought a little sister would be great.
Yeah.
But they adjusted and everybody was fine. But we did have to drive over to Seattle to do amnio and all of that. That was one of the most stressful days in our marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that, again, you hear stories. I mean, you only know what you know. I had never been around anybody with Down syndrome. I had never been close to anybody. I'd never interacted with many people that had Down syndrome. I mean, kind of cursory interactions.
Right.
But so I think for me, trying to figure out, is what I know, I mean, ignorance, but is what I know as a father still valid and applicable?
Right.
And of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course you love them the same way. Like, I mean, all of the things that you do and that you know and how you interact with your kids are still the same. But I couldn't fathom what the complications might be, or what would need to change, and how we would need to be, live our lives differently, if at all. So I think there was just so much swirling around in my head about that, and I think
same
yours as well.
Well, and the whole idea of waiting so long to have a third and all that, of we had been talking about what could go wrong. Now we were faced with what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And we had to drive over, and it was icy and snowy. And I think we had a problem with the windshield wiper. It was just it was a bad day. Yeah. And I remember us having a conversation, and right at the beginning of this episode, we talked about me not telling you I was pregnant. We skip over some of the harder conversations, and I think just sometimes assume we know what the other one's thinking. But in this situation, I remember kind of stepping away from the boys and having a conversation of why are we doing the amnio? Is anything going to change depending on what results we get?
Right.
And of course not. But we really made sure we had that conversation. No, of course we're going forward with this pregnancy. Of course we're adding this child to our lives. This is who we made. But yeah, it was really interesting to have that conversation.
Yeah. And I think it was a really important conversation to have, because I think, again, to your point, we were both on the same page in regards to of course nothing changes. we still go forward with it. However, it was, I think, meant to be informative
Yes.
to help with any preparations that
Yep.
we thought might be necessary. Because again, I was going back to Iraq. Was
Right.
there anything that needed to be done then? Is there anything that needed to be done while I was still gone?
Yeah.
Anything that we needed to be aware of when I got back? I mean, I think it was more about, if this truly is the situation, we need to figure out what preparations need to
Right.
be taken. And
Yeah.
so it was more just information. But yeah, it wasn't to inform a decision, because I
Right.
think we were both on the same page with that. Like, yeah, just it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So we returned to life, and we were really fortunate in Wenatchee, the support system we had. We had great support in Duval as well. But I think about those people who have been a part of our family that helped us raise our boys. And so in Duval, we had Kirsten, who was our babysitter, who was 2-3 houses down, who would come and help with the boys. And then in Wenatchee, Petra worked for you at Starbucks. And then her twin sister, Lee, had a daughter who became our part-time daughter. Brittany, we stole from Audie to help with the kids. And she, was probably 16 when she first started. I think younger. I think you actually had to pick her up a couple times. Like, I don't think she drove yet.
I think that's true.
So I think she was probably 15 when she started watching the boys, and just got us through so much. And now she's a mom. And I think about birth stories, and I think about her son Hunter's birth story, and he came way too early, and she and her husband Kai, and they came and lived with us while he was still in ICU at UW, and that was such a gift to me to be able to help take care of Brittany, because she had helped us so much with the boys.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity to give back.
Yeah. So months go by, and I want to be very clear. I love my own birthday. My birthday is June 10th. It, to me, should be a national holiday. It is a fun, fun birthday. It is the perfect time of year. It is the best birthday. I love it. And so my birthday that year came and went, and my husband came home from Iraq the next day. I mean, I don't think it's your fault, but it's just pointed, and I just need to bring it up because you came back on June 11th because you got to leave a little early so you could be home in time for the baby's birth, which was really awesome of the Army. Thanks, Army. And we were in Wenatchee, living in Wenatchee, but because of all of the things that we were worried about with Mason and with our history with our doctor, we wanted to have him in Seattle. And so you got home, we picked up and moved everybody back to Seattle in with Mark and Kelly so that we could have this third baby, of course, by C-section, because that's what I do. And we went to the hospital early in the day, and lo and behold, another perfect little baby boy was born. And no complications, no medical issues, no Down syndrome. Literally looked exactly like his older brother.
Yeah.
Again, surprised, happy, all the things. Grateful, but it was really nice to be able to be prepared for something that didn't come to pass, because I think it made me realize my capacity, like that I had more in me, and not having to draw on it in that moment was fine, but that we were wired for it and we could do it if need be.
Yeah, and I think you and I have talked before. I don't know if we've talked on the podcast, but I think you and I have had a lot of conversation about how we as a couple pull together during the tough times. And I think we're almost better in the tough times.
And we get bored if it's not too, if it's too easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think when things are going fine, I think we just get bored. And so I think sometimes I think about the deployments, I think about the kids, I think about, some of the tougher times that we've had. And that was a tough time. That was, again, that was a time when I think things could have gone north or south, right? Just like the information that was kept from me at the wedding, that could have easily gone north or south if it was somebody different. But I think that the conversation that we had about if this truly is the situation with Mason, and we know who we are as parents. We know who we are as a family. Do we decide to continue? Do we, what's the choice to be made? And honestly, there wasn't any choice. I mean, for us personally, it was just the right thing to do. We wanted a third
Yeah.
child, and we had a third child. And, if the circumstances turned out, different, then we would still have a third child. Like, it didn't matter to us. And so I think about how we came together around that decision pretty quickly and pretty easily, but that could have very easily not been the case. It could have been a very difficult conversation to have.
And to just like wrap up the Mason part of it, like he completed us. He made us the 5 that we are. He is a riot. He was a riot as a small person. He's hilarious. He is easy to be around, and he carries the most joy in him of any person I've ever met. And I remember the older boys and I were just talking about it the other day. Like, I would threaten them, like, do not steal his joy. Like, I will come for you if you do anything to break him. Teachers, older brothers, whatever, like, do not steal his joy.
You can injure him physically,
right?
But if you destroy his spirit, oh no,
yeah, no, he is, and he continues to be that just kind of light that the world needs.
Yeah, there was another thing that we talked about the other day, and I think it's about. I can't remember the situation, but I remember making the comment, like, nobody could accuse our kids of not being in touch with their feelings.
Right.
And I think that I don't know if this is common. I don't know if it's quote unquote normal, but I think that for us as parents, it's just such a joy to watch our kids, and not a joy to watch them struggle. And it's not like they're always happy, but they are in touch with their feelings. They're in touch with their emotions. They are, in my view, emotionally literate,
mature
adults now.
Yeah.
I mean, almost. Mason's not quite, but I mean, and I just think about how hard it is to raise that. I think about, it presents its own challenges when you're raising somebody who's really emotionally aware and emotionally literate, because you can't just do the because I told you so kind of thing, right? But I think on the flip side of that, being able to kind of push these kids out into the world and have the world experience them as emotionally literate and kind of mature human beings is just, it's been fantastic to watch. And I think the 3 of them are so very different and yet just fit perfectly as part of the 5.
Yeah. We're butting up against time because we obviously really like our kids, and we will talk about them other days as well. But I just want to talk about the concept of 5. I don't know when that became kind of our thing, but it has. Like, the 5 is what matters. And we would always go back to that. And we have a ton of people in our lives, really good friends, people that are family, people we consider family. And maybe it was when the older 2 were middle school and things were just a little bit harder. But it's like, you can always come back to the 5. You can always come back to this and be safe and be heard and be known. And we want that for you. And that's like core to our being. And it doesn't mean that the 5 can't expand. So I think about Cooper with Cam and Thatcher with Kyla. I just think that adding these incredibly strong personalities, women to the mix is a gift. And it doesn't make the 5 different, but it just expands it in a different way. And it's pretty cool. And I think that it goes for friends and it goes for girlfriends. I think about in all of these stages, we've been able to, because we have this core of 5, been able to then embrace the people who are around us as well in a really cool way. And whether that is for a season or for a lifetime, like, I think that is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I don't know the answer to that question either, or that challenge. I don't know what the right word is, but if I had to pinpoint, I think when we became 5, I think that it was, it was obviously after the 5th one arrived that we became 5.
Right.
So, you could almost
sometime between 2009 and today.
Yeah. But I think actually what that kicked off for us was we had been through some challenges up to that point with 2 deployments, and the 4 of you at that point
Mm,
had been very locked in together. So I think it actually started with 4, not 5. I think
yeah,
it
I
was
think that's true.
through all of those tough times and 2 deployments, basically from 2003 all the way to 2009, right when Mason came, it was really having to rely on yourselves or ourselves because
Yeah,
maybe people weren't around to help. Maybe people didn't know how to help. Maybe you couldn't articulate the help that you needed when
yeah,
I was gone, or
yeah,
I couldn't articulate the help I needed when I was back. And so I think we just kind of found ourselves pulling back together,
yep,
kind of coming together as a nucleus of 4. So then it was only natural that when the deployments were over and now we had Mason and we became 5, that now it was the 5. But we knew how to be that tight nucleus. And during those times, we moved from Wenatchee back over to Seattle, not even Seattle. We moved to Gold Bar, then we moved to Redmond, then we moved to a different house in Redmond, then we moved to a different house in Redmond, then we moved to
that was a whole different episode.
yeah, but I mean, we'd had enough transition in that time, and not always did it mean a new job, new schools, et cetera, but there was enough kind of like transition of, geez,
Yeah,
again, when things get tough, we come back together as a group of 5. So I think it's a little bit of adversity, it's a little bit of challenge that really cemented that concept for us.
and I think the other piece of that expanding, like we're the 5, and when people embrace us as the 5, that's when we know they get to be a part of it
Yeah,
too, right? When you don't see us as a unit, um, I think you miss out because we will pull back.
yeah. Yeah, and I think you brought up an interesting point. So now that there's other people involved, now that there's, different people in different relationships with our kids, how do they fit in? And I think that this is another thing that I don't know that we've really truly had an explicit conversation about, but it just is natural that, well, of course they're welcome. Of course they're
Yes.
part of the 5. The 5 is more of a concept
Yeah.
than it is a number, to me at
Yeah.
least.
For
So it's represented by a number, but it's more of a concept of this family coming together, this family being its own support, its own strength, its own kind of, rock to stand on. And so whoever fits as part of that puzzle
Yeah.
is more than welcome to be there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't shout out Bella. Bella is Mason's girlfriend. I didn't shout her out because she's not like marrying my child anytime soon or is married to my child anytime soon. I hope. They're little. It's all good. But Bella is awesome as well. And so are Mason's friends, right? Like, so I think about that too. So it's not just the girls.
Mhm.
It's also the friends that we meet that become a part of that community. Mark and Kelly have always been in it, but John and Kristen and Matt and Kaya, like, are more of it. Brittany, like, it just continues to be this, like, I love that idea that it's a concept rather than a number because it's that core group of humans who make us a family. I don't want to leave out Jake and Lauren and Delaney and the kids. Like, there's just so much. Like,
Yeah.
that's the piece, right? When you start bringing those people into the fold and you create this family. So it's almost as intentional as we were about making Cooper and Thatcher buddies. That's, I think, our friendships
Mhm.
that have become our family.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like it should be a number with an, unknown exponent.
Look at you with math, but
I
yeah.
know. I've been thinking about that for like the past 5 minutes.
I know I could add a little X to my V tattoo.
Yeah, is X the right exponent? Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right. That's awesome. Well, we got to like hardly any of my questions today because we were just going full tilt talking about the kids. But I think it's important when women get together, we often, especially when other people are having babies or extending their family, what is your birth story or what is your family story and how did you bring people in? I think it's natural to tell it then. And I think it matters. Like, I think people want to know how they became a part and whether it was an intentional decision or by accident, and then how you embraced it as you went along the way. And so that's how we became 5 that we are today.
The origin story.
The origin story for sure. So if you're out there listening and you haven't heard your birth story, ask about it. If you do know it, share it. I think it's really important for all of us to know where we came from and how we fit into our families and how we fit into the world as a great kind of baseline to launch from.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's important for you to understand your own story as much as it is somebody else's. I mean, I think it's great for us to be able to reminisce and put those things in order and put those things down on, it's not tape anymore,
Now it's in the ether.
in the cloud.
Yeah.
But I think it's, I mean, those are important things to tell, and I think they're important things to understand. It
Yeah.
helps you know yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for being a part of it. Know that the connection cards that go alongside our rough draft are getting ready for release. We are going to launch those out into the world. I think I've decided that they're going to be like beta testers. So if you're interested in becoming a beta tester of the connection cards, please let me know. I will put a form out on the website, but we will get some of those out into the world for 2006 actual launch, but we can get those in people's hands sooner. What did I say?
2006.
Plus 20.
Plus 20.
So anyways, thank you for being part of this. Thanks for cheering us on, and we will see you again next week.
Thanks for listening, everyone.